Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're asking a simple question, and that is this the best knife ever made? What? A Victorinox? Are you kidding me? I mean, I know your gut reaction is like, that thing's not better than my buck knife. That knife's not better than my Spyderco. That knife's not better than my Randall. That knife's not better than my Tops or my Heretic. Before you answer this question, before you speak from your gut, why don't you check out this video? And I think by the end of the video, if you ask yourself that question again, you may get a different answer. Go ahead and check out the video. Uh-oh.
What?
I think I need to fart.
Oh no, Papa has another frog in his butt.
Hey, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all my viewers. Good day to my Aussie viewers. And we're going to be talking about how great these knives are. And are they possibly the greatest knives? And that's kind of a fascinating question. And I thought about it. I don't know, I think about a lot of things. I'm looking at videos, I'm processing information, thinking about this, thinking about that, and it just popped in my head. I've been thinking a lot about these Victorinoxes lately. I watch a lot of slip joint Sawyer videos, and man, he's just wearing me down on these Victorinoxes. So I don't collect them. The ones you see here, these came in lots. I didn't actually buy them. I bought something else, and these came in the lots. I did buy this one, and this one. But I really don't collect them, as you would consider we collect other knives. But when you think about it, do you have a Victorinox? I think most people do, right? At least one, maybe two, right? Don't we keep them around as a good, handy multi-tool? Maybe throw it in the glove compartment of the car, or have it in one in our pack or our to-go bag as an emergency multi-tool. I mean, I think most people have one of these. Not only that, when I go to estate sales, almost always there's a Victorinox in the knives, of one size or another. And sometimes you find a lot of Imperials, a lot of different kind of knives, but there always seems to be a Victorinox there. Very popular, at least in the past. But I think they're really, really popular now too. So, admittedly, there are a lot of great knives out there. Tremendous variety of knives. I named some in the introduction, but man, there's so many others than I named. So how could you say this knife was the greatest knife? And especially, like, people talk about the quality of these knives being so great, but, you know, I've never found the quality on these things to be so great. So here's a multi-tool. It's a George Westinghouse, and you can see the difference. Here you get these gaps, and here you don't. It's more like a traditional knife. Really nice. The finish is better on this. The blades are thicker. The knife is a little bit heavier than the Victorinox, but it just looks so much better, don't it? Because it's built better. It is better, right? But I don't think that's really the point, because when people are saying these are very high quality, I don't really think they're talking about the finish quality of these knives. They're talking about the build quality. And that's where this knife shines, the build quality on that knife. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit in a minute here. Okay, again, a lot of great knives, right? Randall knives. This is a great knife. These Spydercos, people love these, and these are one of the most sold knives in America. And modern folders in particular, you know, how can this even compete with the modern folder? This is a slip joint design. Modern folders, 80% of all knives sold in America are modern folders. But the key there is America. So when you go outside America, almost every country in the world bans these type of knives. In some places you can own them, you just can't carry them. But in a lot of places, it's illegal even to get them. And so even though the modern folder is really popular, it's really only popular in the US. And if you look at these knives, this is a Barlow, first produced in 1667. Bernard Levin says this is the most sold knife in the world. This pattern has been copied and produced more than any other pattern on a knife in the world. Pretty popular. Here is a case sodbuster. Again, these were extremely popular and are still popular and are being produced by anybody who wants to be a knife manufacturer is making one of these. Here's another one right here. From the 1890s on, this has been one of the most produced knife patterns, the Stockman. And again, many different countries have produced this Stockman. Here's another one, the Trapper. We love trappers. Been produced since 1920. But this knife has been produced since 1891 was the first one produced, the Swiss officer knife. And it's still being produced in an amazing variety of knives. Victorinox says they produce 400 different models. I think that kind of includes everything, right? It doesn't just include the Swiss Army knives. I think they produce about 260 models of these is what they really produce. And the rest of them are other products that they produce. I may be wrong there. I'm no expert, but that's kind of what I feel. And so that's what I mean when this may be the greatest knife ever produced. If you look at these old vintage knives and models that are been produced, and you look at these modern folders, which are admittedly popular in America, but not so much available in the rest of the world. This knife, however, is in 121 different countries that Victorinox sells these knives. There's 194 countries in the world. So 2/3 of the countries in the world are being sold Victorinoxes. There are many, many locations that have regional offices for the Swiss Army knife. Hong Kong, China. How many companies have a presence in China? Victorinox does. Brazil, South America, all over the world this knife is produced. Victorinox produces 10 million of the Swiss Army knives a year. 45,000 knives a day. A knife every 10 minutes is being produced. It takes 10 minutes to produce this knife. That's from a Victorinox video. So that's what I'm really talking about, the greatness of this knife. Without a doubt, since its inception, 470 million of these knives have sold. 470 million of these knives have been sold since its inception. There is no other knife here that can compare to that. Yes, there may be a better knife than this. You know, a Randall knife, a Tops knife, a Spyderco, you name your brand. Yeah, it may be a better knife overall than this. But is it the most produced knife in the world? Has it been produced for 140 years continuously? The brand following on this knife is absolutely phenomenal. And there's a reason for that too, and there's a reason why this thing is so popular. We'll talk about that. So one of the cool things about these knives, these Victorinox knives, Victorinox doesn't make a knife that is everything to everybody. What they do is they make a knife that will accomplish any job that you have for that knife. So that's how it applies to people and why they have so many models. This model right here is a hiker model. This model right here is a tinkerer model. This model, I don't even know what this model is, but it's a little penknife produced by Victorinox. Just 2 blades. If you need a penknife, this is a florist knife right here. If you need a florist knife, this knife right here is kind of a, this is a soldier's knife, but it's a camping, you know, popular with campers, hunters. And they have a lot of different models of these. They have 43 different models of this style knife. Knives for fishermen, knives for sailors, knives for hunters, all kinds of different knives. And that's what I think has attributed the popularity to these knives. They've got knives for people who like to bike. They got knives for tinkerers, people that work with computers. They have a computer model for people that repair computers and electronics. And that's really the beauty of these knives. And when you talk about high quality, this knife is very simple, but they're lightweight, they're durable, they're affordable, they're practical, and they're useful. They come in a variety of different sizes. I'll put a graph up there to show you that right now. And that's really the beauty of them. And the other thing about this is this knife has been often duplicated, but never replicated. And so you have this knife here, pretty much the same thing as this knife, but it's not exactly the same. It is heavier. May appeal to some people, but that's the beauty of these knives. They're lightweight, they're durable. This knife, the American utility knife, was just put in the dust by this knife. By 1960, this knife was taken off. China tried to compete with Victorinox, and probably the only company in the world that ever dusted the Chinese was Victorinox. Here's a Chinese Victorinox right here. Doesn't compare to them. The blades, some of these blades don't even work. Like this blade right here, it's not sharp, it's blunt, it's dull, it's not an awl, right? It looks like an awl, but it's not, and it won't do the job. And a lot of these blades are just pieces of metal stuck on here. So the Chinese couldn't even compete with Victorinox. That's the greatness of the Victorinox company. You know, in 1978, actually 1972, NASA bought 50 of the Craftsman Victorinox model to give to its astronauts to use in space. And astronaut Chris Hadfield said, "Never leave the planet without one." He kind of made that statement famous. And it's a remarkable statement. You have somebody saying, "Don't use the planet without, leave the planet without it." That kind of speaks to the popularity of these remarkable knives. And the British climber Chris Boyington climbed Mount Everest with a Victorinox knife. And that's the kind of popularity that these knives have had on the world, on the world stage. And so I submit to you that, yeah, this knife is not as good as a Randall hunting knife, but that's not what this knife is meant to be. But what other knife can you name that's been around 140 years? What other knife can you name that is as light, durable, efficient, useful, practical, and carried by as many people as this? What other knife company can even match 10 million knives a year? 45,000 knives a day. What other company can you name that can compare to the Victorinox legacy and manufacturing build quality? It just would be hard, wouldn't it? I can't think of any. They make small knives, medium knives, large knives, multi-tools. They've even got these gadget cards. They call them Swiss cards. They look like a credit card, but they do something. They make pouches, outdoor stuff, garden stuff, and personal care. They've got into watches, travel gear, and fragrances. Even though they don't produce those things, they've just licensed their name to be on certain products. They're endorsing that stuff and looking into that market. So they're diversifying also, as well as making these just incredible knives. So anyhow, that's why I think this is probably the greatest knife ever made. There's no end in sight for these, by the way. They're going strong and gaining steam. So, I don't know. What do you think? Is that not the definition of great? A knife been produced for 140 years. The company is family owned that entire time and still family owned. A company that's produced 500 million knives since its inception. I don't know. I think that may be the greatest knife ever made at this point in time. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it informative. And let me know what you think. I'd really like to hear what you think. I kind of shudder to think of what you think. But go ahead, let me know. Thanks again, guys.